everyone, welcome to the Talkonomics Podcast. I'm very happy to introduce you to Felix Mago. He is the co-founder of Dash Next and
Dash Thailand.
Dash Thailand, right? So I'm very happy to have you over. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to have a conversation.
Thank you, Annie. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. The space is so new that many people had their past lives doing something else before getting into the space. So what did you do back then?
I'm actually grandpa in the cryptocurrency space. I was working as a banking consultant and a digital innovation consultant for over a decade. And in 2014, I was blogging for a tech blog, a German tech blog. And we saw this thing called Bitcoin going up to $1, going up to $10 and $100. So we started off writing a book on how to buy Bitcoin back in the days, where it was still a time where it was a bit tricky and difficult. And since then, everybody knows the feeling of falling into the rabbit hole. You open one door, another door opens. And 2019, we're sitting here and now doing crypto payments.
Nice. So it's developed pretty fast when you talk about it. It's in a span of about 10 years. We have these huge conferences today. We have so many people talking about it. We have this enthusiasm in general around the industry. How did it feel back then when people were not really neither understanding nor believing in the whole space?
Very good question. And I remember my first meetup, there were exactly 6 people in the room, every single one of them wearing big glasses like me. And now we're in 2019. I see again around 20 to 40% of the people will wear a suit. So it's obviously business coming in, other classic consulting companies coming in, and everybody see there is something going on. So I think there's a lot going on. And also you mentioned like there so much has happened. Yes and no, it's like when we had Bitcoin in 2009, we just had the birthday, so everybody was talking about, hey, Bitcoin is a new means of payment, and you can go out and buy everything with it, right? So now we fast forward, and this is exactly the story we are really working on, and we are really trying to change. We have 2019, and still nobody is, or not the majority of people is paying anything with crypto, nor are there merchants where you can spend your crypto. So it's a chicken and egg problem, and it's still something we have to solve, and this is where really Dash brings in a lot of value proposition, as we have connected so many merchants in the last years, and also have a beautiful network of users to spend it somewhere.
It's very interesting you mentioned that, because first you mentioned that you've been in banking in the beginning, and then about the merchants and spending the cryptocurrency. So very often people see the cryptocurrency as a way to escape the banks and bypass them and have their own control over their own money. And in the future, they wish to have this future of no banks, cryptocurrency, your own money in your own wallet, and loads of merchants accepting that cryptocurrency. I mean, it's not happening just yet. It's just the first steps that we are at. How do you think when we will get to this ultimate financial freedom and ultimately fiat-free future? Is it even a thing?
I'm not sure we will even get there. What I can tell you from my experience is that almost every merchant we onboard, if they're not into crypto, they're not into crypto. And I mean, if you talk to your mom when you come home, probably she doesn't own Bitcoin, right? She might now know what you do and what Bitcoin is and all that stuff, but they don't really care, right? So for now, we're in a situation where not only people don't care and scared, and even more important, see a high price volatility, right? So imagine you're a merchant and you're accepting Bitcoin, Dash, or whatever other cryptocurrencies, and at the end of the month when you have to pay your employees, the price dropped already, right? So you cannot essentially run a business. That's why it's on us to find solution which makes sense on a business level, which makes sense for the people who are scared, for the people who are not that well educated. And for now, the solution, this is what we are figuring out, is connecting the dots in a way that we say, hey, if you want to have fiat money, I can help you settle it. And wherever you are merchant and whatever vertical you are in the payment industry, whatever industry you are in, I can help you to settle it in the way you do. I have many examples. One of them is a hotel platform. So with Dash, we now have a total of 4.5 million hotels on several platforms. Just in the last 2 months, I onboarded 1.6 million hotels with Excel Trip and Hotelier Mart. 600 airlines, shared apartments coming up where, I mean, at the end of the day, our value proposition is saying, hey, you can be part of a travel club, you can book travel below booking.com prices, which hopefully gives the value proposition to the people. But then look at the hotel. Of course, the hotel is not happy if they get the dash from their customers at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Neither is the travel platform who is facilitating between the hotels and the customers to make the payment happen. So what we have to do is offer them a service, and in this case plug in somebody who can settle in various currencies to make it happen, and also importantly to do it fast, because of course if you book an airline, you know how fast the system work in the background. You have to make it immediately happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And very often when we are talking about similar solutions, there's also the issue of actually kind of the average user being able to get the cryptocurrency, to get into this, as you mentioned, rabbit hole of figuring out how to set up a wallet, how to buy the cryptocurrency, how to spend it, how to transfer it, etc. And for many people, it's a huge learning curve. It's an uphill battle if it's not a user-friendly solution, right? So what's your side of the story? How have you solved that issue of people who want to get into it? Can your solution be their first entry point to cryptocurrency?
Of course it can be. I would even say it's as easy as other solutions. It's, again, if you care for something, you will find it out. To be honest, before I even started to be a banking consultant, I was day trading the stock market and the first internet hype from 97 to 2001. And I mean, you see history repeating itself, right? One of the major things driving the first wave of the internet was people greedy to trade the stock market and saw like the market cap exploding, and everybody wanted to have a share of it, right? So I see a lot of that now repeating in crypto. From my perspective, it's less about how difficult it is to get a wallet, because this in fact is super easy. It's explained in 2 minutes, and once you do crypto payments, like wow, this was as easy as handling your cash, right? It's more about, do you have other options to get into the crypto or other incentives to get into crypto beyond trading? For me, this would be one of the major things I would love to see, is more people having options to earn in crypto, to work and earn in crypto, because then you have suddenly another reference point. This is also something I always think. I am German, I live in Bangkok, I mostly earn in crypto, right? So actually, my reference price is in euro, whereas I'm spending my money in Thai baht and get like some crazy money, which is always volatile. So what is the real price reference, and what are you thinking in, right? So this is. If you buy $5 for a hamburger, it's okay, right? If you buy a $20 hamburger, it's an expensive hamburger.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this issue will be rising for more and more people, because with globalization, with movement of people, relocations, and ultimately with remote work coming as something very popular, digital nomads, this issue is going to be very, very kind of pressing for many people, because that's what's happening right now. People move around, people get different clients from all over the world, and all that hustle is becoming really, really a big issue. So yeah,
I'm very happy you mentioned that, because exactly you said I'm working, or I'm the co-founder from Dash Thailand and Dash Next. So Dash Thailand had exactly this, or this was our idea to say, hey, we're in Thailand. It's one of the biggest tourism markets in the world. If you look at the numbers, there are 30 million tourists coming in every year. Everybody has once in their life makes it to Thailand usually, right? So this is a beautiful target group. Also, it's in the ranking of where do digital nomads go and where do they like to live. It's always in the top. And then we have all these Thai people, all these Chinese people living there who like to be investors and who are heavily invested in cryptocurrencies on the percentage. So for us, it was like saying, hey, let's start off with this tourism use case and build a nice showcase where you can see how easy it is, really going around onboarding merchants. So we now have in Thailand a beautiful ecosystem where you have restaurants, some hotels, tour guides, personal trainers, so everything what makes a good holiday. So, and having this use case now, we can go out, and this is why we started Dash Next, where we say, let us scale this approach throughout Asia and really onboard now partners on a larger scale, and it makes it really like from a business development perspective and from a sales and marketing perspective, it makes it so much easier for me now having running showcases and showing those to partners, and they're interested now
Real
in
life
working.
proofs, which
Real
is
life proofs,
so
exactly.
rare these days, because most of the projects that are in the space are using a future tense of the beautiful things that they are going to do, of different industries they are going to disrupt in the future once everything is built up, and usually they haven't started building even yet. So that's a powerful confirmation and validation of the idea, showcasing a real thing that actually works. So basically, from what I hear, you mentioned hotels, you mentioned tour guides, and everything else. It feels like if theoretically someone wants to go to Thailand for a holiday, they can just do all the expenses related to it by crypto and not worry about exchange rates or about transfers of money, etc. Right?
Again, now it's still a limited use case, and now I'm going around and say, hey, like we had this use case, step one. Step two is onboarding so many hotel platforms. So now essentially you can book 4.5 million hotels around the world. That means you have a lot more options through our partner network to book something, right? So there's two levels. One is the merchants we have ourselves. Of course, this is nice, but it's limited in terms of scalability.
Yeah.
So now we're scaling by onboarding other partner platforms. So one of them would be, we have hotel platforms. Again, Travala, Hotelier Mart, Excel Trip. You can book something on them. So now we're going around and onboard other solutions. One of them I also have right here in my pocket. It's for the audience. This is a Dash branded card for three things. Number one is this is going to be, it's right now in the beta test with DG Finex and Bluecon, our Korean partner. So number one, it is a national public transport card for all the public transport system in Korea.
Oh, wow.
It integrates into 9 million shops, all the convenience stores in Korea, so tap and go, pay and go. Number two, it's going to be an international public transport card where we onboard now the local public transport system. We're going to kick off with Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea. I hope we get Thailand on board. And number three, we are already in the beta test for a Master and Visa card. You can apply all over the world. The only requirement is for you to have an exchange account. In this case, again, beta test with DigiFinex, but hopefully other exchanges as well.
Okay,
and everybody who has a Dash balance on this exchange can spend it in real time.
From the balance, right
From
away.
the exchange balance with the real-time conversion rate, very low percentage, I think it's a 1% fee. So this way, suddenly we are like at millions of point of sales around the world, and then exactly happens what you just say. Now you can not only go to Thailand, but you just have this card and you start living from it.
Makes sense. Many of similar services, not the cryptocurrency ones, but usually the banking ones, etc. They have lots of limitations in terms of depending which country you are from, you can or you cannot get the card or the service, right? So in this case, are there any limitations, or anyone from anywhere can just get and use the service?
For now, everybody can get it, but also there you're right. You know, we talked about different industries and how to make it happen for different industries on different verticals. But another layer we have to add in order to make crypto payment happen is, of course, saying there are different regulations for different people. Yeah. It's not only for the people, it's also for the companies. So depending on what country you're working in, of course you have to comply, and also in order to do that there are many different levels and shades of gray to make it happen.
Yeah.
So we are trying to do that, right? And also we only talked about the easy industries, right? Like the non-shady ones like tourism or anything, right? But in fact we're also very big in gambling and gaming. Just 2 days ago there was the cannabis conference in Malta, and we have fantastic use cases up and running for the American dispensary market, where we are now one of the only cryptocurrencies able to settle US dollar to the dispensaries in a way we swap it in the background, essentially.
Interesting. Well, when I talk to people, most of them at this point got into cryptocurrency either by hearing from someone or reading an article, and most of them mainly for trading and making money and riding the wave of cryptocurrency volatility. So what did attract you in the space when you've discovered it? What was that one thing that you got into it for?
That's a good question. I mean, I was just so interested, and it opened so many doors. The more I looked into it, what is happening there, what is happening with digital money, and just a non-government issued digital money. And I mean, now I'm working in Dash. So what we didn't talk about right now, Dash is I think the longest running DAO in the world, the decentralized autonomous organization, an organization without a hierarchical structure, without a CEO. It's essentially decentralized teams all around the world, and everybody can work for Dash who puts a proposal in the system. It works in a way that we have a system where the block rewards are distributed. 45% goes to miners, 45% masternodes, and 10% is the treasury where all projects are funded, right? So as in Bitcoin, we have miners, and everybody needs miners, right? But we don't give everything to the miners, only 45%. The masternodes are people who stake 1,000 Dash, and for that they get essentially an 8% annual return, and they have the voting right for the last 10%, which is the treasury. So every single project within Dash has to go through this treasury proposal system, and it's a democratic process of people voting for you, saying yes or no. We have around 5,000 masternodes at this point, and this is the way where I think the magic happens in the background, because I mean what it means, is like we have people who get paid for their work, and we have an incentivization for people who want to get involved and to do a good job. So in this way we essentially have teams all around the world, in the States, in Latin America, in Africa, in Europe, and we in Asia.
It sounds like an ideal model. I'm just trying to imagine that coming to real life and transforming the corporates and having it under that structure. I think many companies will work way, way better if they followed that model. But I doubt it will be happening anytime soon, right?
It's happening on a small scale, right? Probably you will not turn a whole company like that. For me, the question is rather like, could you make it applicable? And again, I was like an innovation consultant, so of course this is something you could recommend.
Starting at a smaller scale,
Yeah, I mean, for example, there are innovation platforms, right, where you involve all the people working for you to push good ideas and have a voting system for them to bring up ideas, that it's not centralized at your boss and his boss and his boss, right? If one of these three people block the decision, nothing's going to happen. So if everybody is moving for it, yes. So, but decentralization is an awesome thing, right?
It is.
Very experiment play field, but we love to be in it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And also, to be fair, also centralized organizations have many efficiencies, right? So one thing, for example, we learned from this was saying, hey, we are a beautiful decentralized organization, and now we started a thing called the Dash co-working, which, just to break it down, is a way to bring these teams together in a weekly call to align the priorities on what are we working on, to exchange, to say, hey, I know this guy from this exchange, let's talk to him, and to make things happen in a better way, but in a very friendly team spirit environment we call the Dash co-working. And one of the biggest results from the Dash co-working was that we just had a Dash convention in Zurich, and moved the whole convention to hijack Oktoberfest with the Dashtoberfest, and I can tell you it was really fun to
I can imagine.
co-work and see the people behind it.
Oktoberfest by itself is a very, very exciting experience, I could say. So that merged with crypto is, I can only imagine how good it was. So, I mean, all this sounds very, very positive, and I love it. On the other hand, when someone right now at the moment gets interested into the space and just does a very surface research and starts just, Googling something, very often they come across things that are about, I don't know, people claiming to be co-founders or of Bitcoin, some other scam projects that, this whole BBC podcast about OneCoin, most of the visible media coverage are around things that somehow make people more cautious and decide not to get into it because I mean, let's be honest, with just a service Google search, it doesn't look very good. And most of the good coverage is very technical, so the average person has difficulty actually emerging into it and understanding the whole beauty of it. So, is there a way to somehow, I don't know, change this around, or it's going to be staying like that, and only the most curious ones and the ones who are really interested and dig deep will get into it and get the real value of it?
It's a very interesting question, and I believe most of the people will tell you, yes, we have to educate the world. You know, from my perspective, the world is a complicated place, and again, I was trading stock markets in 1998, and we have the same. Everybody was promising you everything, right? I mean, me personally, I would just remain, maybe it's because I'm German, but I'm generally a skeptic. And at the end of the day, it boils down to real business, right? So if you see a company with a pure buzzword bingo, my alarm bells go on. And I mean, it's for me a natural reaction, right? So you have to look into, does it make sense as a business model? Is this company earning money? And at the end of the day, blockchain is nothing else than the same old, same old. You have to run a business and you have to make it successful. And if you only burn money without any value you bring, probably you should not give this money, your money to this company.
Makes sense. So your project is kind of a practical user case in the fintech, in the payments industry, in that side of the story. Are there any other practical projects in other industries that you really like and that actually already bring some change to people's everyday life?
Really asking very tough questions.
Sorry.
I like it. I see it on every industry, on every vertical. There's so many crazy things going on, and from VIT is here from Liberland, so they just founded their own country, and now we can experiment on new voting systems. I was just in Russia talking to a thing called Pregnancy Tracker.app with more than 300,000 daily active users, where obviously moms are a beautiful target group to have because they will obviously love their baby. And it's not only moms. If you explain the story to dads, everybody gets like sparkling in their eyes. So there's great use cases wherever I look at. I was working with many big German corporations to find something. I would rather think it's about like, are you willing to go that way, and are you willing to explore it? I just said it in my last talk that, you know, it's like, I mean, we live in a world where obviously everything becomes digital, and digital economy is not just an empty phrase, but it's really about how to design a business model in a way that you can leverage technology to your benefit and to your profit. And if blockchain is the answer, and it not necessarily is, then awesome, and let's go for it. And at the same time, I mean, I'm still wondering, are we already in the 90s with blockchain, or are we still in the 80s? What if I look back on the internet? So I remember in 1998 I could never imagine Uber and Airbnb, but
absolutely, yeah.
Now it's there, and
I think people who are in the space truly believe that this is the future. What many people disagree about is the time span of when we will actually get there. So I guess it's the time will tell. The problem is that many people give their opinions as a fact, which I think no one knows for sure until we live and see. So I wish you big success with that awesome project that you're doing, and let's hope for very positive big changes coming faster rather than sooner.
Thank you very much. Maybe let me ask one last thing, because Dash right now we talk only about the business part of it. So now there's a lot of things coming on the technical side of things. So one very strong feature for Dash is a thing called Instant Send. So we can do a crypto payment without waiting for any block confirmations. Essentially, without any block confirmations, so with zero confirmations, I can send you money and you can respend it right away, because we have this masternode network on the top. Evolution is about to come out, where we finally have usernames, where we finally can program more cool things on Dash. So I'm very, very excited on what is happening also on the technical level within the next month.
Very
Stay
nice.
tuned.
Very nice.
and look for more.
Stay tuned for sure. Thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you, everyone.